small. You can't stay. Hi there. As you can probably tell by the setup and title of this video, I'm just going to do a sketch with me kind of video, if Kiki allows it. And I'll do it as long as I can until my kids wake up, and then I won't have any more quiet time, so. But I dug out my Tone Tan sketchbook. I've been seeing some artists use these, and it reminded me that I had one, and I have not used it hardly at all. If there's any dates in here. This was when I first got my Prismacolor pencils as well, so I was doing lots of swatches. Yeah, so some early stuff. And that's pretty much all I did. Okay, so this was from 10/23/17, so this is from 2017. That's when I really actually started drawing, was 2017. I still really like this picture. Let me see if I can zoom it in. It's been so long since I've even opened up this book, but this was one of my favorite ones that I did just because of the detail. Yeah, I really like it. I still really like it. Oh, wow. Oh yeah, my husband has some Final Fantasy X. I don't know if this is from the... I can't remember if this is from the 10 or 10-2 case, but I was gonna start trying to draw Yuna on this side. This is Titus, and I don't know, I liked the way he turned out, and I was nervous that Yuna wouldn't look as good, so I just stopped there. Oh, and Arlo I drew for my son, because he likes the good dinosaur, but I forgot. I didn't finish his face. Is that it? That is literally it for this sketchbook, so not even a quarter of the way through from 3 years ago, and this book has not been touched. I thought it would be fun to do some more expression sketching. My family lives in Missouri, but my dad is currently on the road right now working in Texas, and I just talked to him the other day, and he said he's been watching my videos, so hi, Dad. So I'm just trying to draw this girl's face from Pinterest. She's got kind of a snooty expression. See if I can try to capture that as well. Try to just mark in where I want all my main features to go first. So my chin, my nose and my eyes. Well, her nose. Her nose and her eyes. I don't know about you guys, but I am pretty glad to be done with Inktober. I completely underestimated how difficult it would be. I think this is the first time that I've drawn on actual paper in over a month. I've done all of my Inktober drawings. I did the preliminary sketches for them on Procreate and then transfer them to paper, so I've not done any pencil sketching in a while. It's nice to get back to it. She looks very glamorous, so I almost always default to drawing women with like thick black eye makeup, and I'm trying to move away from that because I feel like it's starting to be sort of like same face syndrome, same eye syndrome. She's got kind of these high arched brows, and then this one's kind of down a little bit more. I always draw so small as well. I don't mean to, I'm just worried about wasting paper. Just wasting space. Like, if I'm gonna draw something and I end up not liking it, if it's super small, then it's not that big of a deal. She's got pretty high cheekbones. And see, this is a problem I have. I default to always drawing so small. But one of my favorite things about doing semi-realism is the details that you can put in. And whenever you draw this small, it's really difficult to do details. Her hair is very swooshy and swoopy and glamorous. Kind of hard to follow, actually. You can't actually see her ears in the photo. So she almost looks like she's smiling a little bit. I'm just gonna add a bit of black. Excuse you. Just gonna add a bit of black to her. Maybe help you actually see what's going on. Whoops. Ah. And, well, I just ruined that. Well, it's just the warm-up sketch. So the last time I did a video like this, I'm gonna draw a bit bigger this time. I drew expressions of a single person who was making different expressions. It was Jim Carrey. They all ended up looking like different people to me. So I'm gonna try that again. I've got a grid here of a person doing multiple expressions, and I'd say they're pretty well known. I mean, I recognized him looking at his picture, so try and draw them and see if you guys can guess who I'm drawing before the end of the video. Just start with a simple base expression. Oh, Kiki, you got your baby? Oh, Mommy can't play right now. Kiki. Let her up on the desk once and then she thinks she owns the place. Pretty narrow bridge. These pictures are really great. They have really good values. So it's a black and white image, and I say that there's some harsh lighting. It could be a bit harsher, but there's some decent lighting where the shadows are really pronounced. I think that's actually pivotal for getting someone's likeness. You know, the shadows that make up their face in turn make up, you know, I don't know how to describe it. But I feel like you could draw a simple face, just some basic features, and then depending on where you add in your shadows, you could make it start looking like a specific person instead of just a generic face. That's my theory. I don't know if that's true or not. That's my theory because all of my faces start out as generic, just basic features, and I feel like it's not until you start adding in defining features, which to me are the shadows and the highlights, is when it starts looking more like a specific person. I think Kiki's mad at me because I wouldn't let her on the desk again. She's just dragging her toy around behind me. It's being super noisy. My cat follows me everywhere in the whole house. If I go to another room, she is right behind me. It annoys my husband a little bit because she'll be laying on his lap, which she hardly ever does, and then if I get up and leave the room, she leaves with me. Okay, start mapping out face shapes here. One of the most difficult things for me whenever I very first started trying to draw an actual human face was this part. Just the outline of the face. It's still difficult. Even with my video where I drew Jim Carrey, I think that's one of the big reasons why they didn't all look like Jim Carrey, was because they all had a different face shape. But to be fair, he was making different expressions, so obviously that will change the shape of your face. So right now, to me, this does not look like this person at all. Kind of mustache. One of those barely there. I think I made his mouth too big. His mouth is fairly close to the bottom of his nose. Pretty thin lips as well. I guess I can add his ears. Get some nice teeth. Teeth are also a really finicky thing too, because if you make them too big, it looks scary, and if you make them too small, it looks scary. You gotta be just right. Almost just like with everything else. Bring this lip down a little. I'll go over this with my black liner again, like I did with this one here, because I do like the way that looks. using black line art like this has never been, whenever I first started drawing, it's not something that I ever wanted to do. Like even with these drawings, I only, like even with Peach, see, I didn't use the black line art with her because I liked the soft look of it with, I can't even see it. I like the way this looked with no black line art because it just looks soft and almost more realistic. I mean, not realistic, but like, see, Luigi, I didn't do any. This is the Luigi death stare, by the way. Yeah, even with him, like, he's got, you know, a lot of black for like right here in his sleeve where the shadow is. I use black there, but and then this was my first. I found this on the internet somewhere. This is not a creation of my own. I just thought it was adorable and I wanted to try it out, so yeah. But like, was it Yoshi? The only one, even Zelda, I did not use black liner because I just like that look. Oh. I just like this look better. It just looks softer, but for Inktober, I thought maybe practicing with black outlines would help me, I don't know, be more steady. And I do like the look of art with black liner, just not mine. But yeah, anyway, what was I saying? Something about black line art? I do like the way this looks. It definitely brings out the features and makes it a little bit easier to see. And just kind of makes the sketch look a bit more finished, I guess. Looks a bit nicer. Okay, so he's got more shadows on his face, so I'm going to add those in and see if it looks any more like him. I recognize this person. He's an actor, but I literally cannot think of anything that he's played in. I know I've seen him in stuff, though. But obviously, if I do think of it, I can't say it because it'll give it away, and I want you guys to guess. No skipping. Kiki, you found your other baby. Don't you jump up here. So like, I'm looking at this and I know what I just said about the black liner and that I was going to add it, but now I'm looking at this, I'm not sure I want to. I'm afraid I'll ruin it. Which, I mean, I know it's not that great to begin with, but I just wonder if I should. I was going to color the teeth in white, but I don't know if that's a good idea. I've got this awesome thing. I got it at Hobby Lobby. It's Faber-Castell. It's a pencil eraser. You can sharpen it and it just got the rubber eraser bit here. So I'm going to try that. It's not very stiff. I'm afraid if I try to color his teeth in with the black liner, not like color them in, but outline them, that it's going to ruin it. Okay, so I'll just do some of where the darkest parts are. I've seen some artists who will draw a sketch like this and then outline it, and it just makes it look amazing. And I feel like there's strategic places to put the black, and I'm just not sure I understand that, where, like, how to find that myself. Alright, I'm just going to do the teeth. I'm just going to go for it. Okay, so we had a little bit of a scare. I finished this and then I looked up at my camera to stop the recording and it was already stopped, and I thought, oh my goodness, did I press record? But I did. I had recorded. Let's move on to our next expression. I think I'll use green since I haven't used that one yet. He's got some really great expressions. Okay, let's try. So we just did a happy one. Let's try it sad. Kind of overly sad, but the first expression I did, it actually looks like his head is turned a bit, but it was supposed to be straight on, and this is also a straight on expression. So we're gonna try to make that happen a bit better. Put his nose here. Nostrils are much more flared out. I feel like the more I practice drawing noses and the better I get at them, the more fun they are. Okay, so relative to the nose, the mouth is not far, and it's scrunched up again. Well, it's in a frown, but trying to find the points relative to the first thing that I drew, which was the nose, and then try to place my other features where they're supposed to go based on their relativity, is the word, based on where they are in relation to the nose. So from this nostril, it's got a bit of a shadow here. Jeez. Scared me. Speaking of scared me, oh my goodness, that just reminded me of something. I'm gonna have to tell him about this when he gets home. There was one time, I can't remember how long ago it was, but I had the scariest dream I have ever had, and I was in the middle of telling it to my darling husband, and I remember feeling like I was getting worked up just talking about it, like going back over the details because it was still so vivid and it was just so scary. Like, I literally cannot even remember what it was about right now, but it feels so gravelly. But anyway, I just remember I was in the middle of telling him this traumatizing dream that I had and how scary it was, and in the middle, he just screams, like he just yells as loud as he can, and so I end up screaming, and I was just like, oh my goodness, he laughed so much, and that's when I realized I could never trust him with that again. It was so scary, just like in the midst of telling one of the most scariest, traumatizing dreams I've ever had, and he just screams as loud as he can just to scare me. Oh man, it worked. It's funny now, and it was kind of funny then. Okay, it was a little funny, but like in the moment that I was screaming out of fear, it was not funny. But it's pretty funny now. And I know as soon as he gets home from work, I'm gonna remind him about that, and he's just gonna die all over again. So far, I'm liking this. Looking at my reference photo, I'm realizing that his eyes are a little farther apart than what I've drawn. And so I might try to fix that, but I might not. It's got some nice wrinklage going on up here. Seems like one of the more popular things for people to draw is pretty girls, which, I mean, pretty features are fun to draw, and for a lot of my Inktober pieces I tried to draw, I'm pretty sure I drew more women than men, but I tried to split it up every once in a while. It just seems like drawing pretty girls is more popular right now than anything else, and that's fine. But something I notice about a lot of the girls that are drawn is they just have these like blank expressions. I think there's that one YouTuber that I watch. Oh man, hold on, I'm blanking on his name. Hold on. Ergo Josh. His name is Josh and his channel is Ergo Josh. He talked about before how they're called Pinterest girls. So, you know, you go on Pinterest and find a pretty face, kind of like what this one was, except, I mean, she was a very glamorous looking lady, but she had, you know, an expression, a very pronounced expression, instead of just kind of the blank, pouty, you know, just looking at the camera with big eyes and partially open mouth, or like just looking over her shoulder but with like a blank stare. Alright, I'm having the problem with the face shape again. This is not right. But people seem to really like drawing those, and I mean, I do as well. I feel like it's good practice for features because the features are just like a baseline. But I also enjoy seeing art where expressions are done really well. Put in his hairline, that will help. So I drew in his cheekbone that's got the highlight hitting it here, but then his face continues back to jawbone. It just looks so weird to me. The hair is much darker than the face shadow. I wish I was more entertaining. I also wish I was better at sketching expressions, but I guess I need to work on everything. I'm hoping that if you're watching this, you're at least, you know, sketching something along with me. You know, now that I've got... as soon as I want to say something positive about it, I just laugh. But now that I do have his head shape a little bit more decent, I guess. I feel like this one does look like him a little bit. Got like that thing going on where you make a frowny face and your chin dimples up. It's like so random and sporadic. I don't know. Make it look natural. Again, his lips are pretty thin, so there's not really much here. Okay, so let's just start adding some shading here on the face, because I feel like that's gonna help. I can't hardly tell if this shadow is mostly mustache or shadow. I'm gonna go ahead and add neck. I didn't do that in the last one, but I feel like something that I know is important to do when sketching, when trying to create a likeness or just draw anything accurately to what it looks like in the reference, is to just zone in on one spot and work on it. So obviously you want to get in your basic shapes first, like so, you know, start with a circle, then I kind of put the features, you know, around about where I feel like they need to go, and then zone in on one specific spot and work on it, then kind of like do that everywhere. I'm just as good at explaining it as I am executing it, but you know what I mean. Like, so if I work on the nose here, I'm gonna look here at the left nostril, kind of right on the ball of his nose. There's like this triangular, almost like triangular shadow where it starts here and then it comes down to a point kind of right where his nostril and this ball part of his nose, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like that. I'm gonna use my eraser pencil, kind of bring that out more. Do you see what I mean? Like, but if I weren't focusing in on his nose and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna shade the nose now, the shadow's on this side, and then I just shade it all the way up, it would look less like this person, because that's one of their defining features. It's in almost every single one of his photos. You can see that the skin pulls just a little bit tighter right here around his nose, especially when he's stretching his cheeks out in a certain way. So that's a good tip for when you're trying to get a likeness. Okay, so now I'm jumping. I know I said focus on one area, but I did that. Now I'm going to jump to a different area, and I'm going to look at his right eye. So there's not really a whole lot going on with his eyes, because like I said, they look almost closed, but they're just very squinted. I can't tell if he is actually peeking through his eyelashes, but I'll show you the pictures at the end that I was looking at, and then you can decide for yourself. So his right eye, there's not really much going on because this whole side of his face is actually in the light. And then this side of his face is more in the shadow. But for his eye, there's some heavy shading in the inner corner. He seems to have some pretty deep set eyes. And then a lot of wrinkling, which isn't really the eye. I'm sitting here trying to say focus on one part and work on it. But like this is the most I feel like I can do with this eye. I don't want to overdo it. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that's my method anyway. If I focus specifically on one part, you know, you'd think it'd be a no-brainer. If you're using a reference, then you're going to be drawing what you're looking at. But I find myself sometimes getting into a habit of, I have a reference in front of me and I go in to draw the nose, and instead of zoning in on the nose of my reference, you know, I kind of glance at it and then I start drawing, you know, the way a nose looks in my mind, which is not hardly ever accurate to what it really looks like how big the nostril flares out or how low this dip comes below the ball of the nose. And it's just like, that's fine if you're just sketching just to practice features and you don't exactly care about trying to get the likeness of the reference. You're literally just using it for reference. But if you're trying to get a likeness, it's pretty important to draw exactly what the person's features look like. So like if I had made his nostrils much bigger, because that's probably what I would have done originally, I tend to draw features much bigger than they're supposed to be. I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the next one while I'm talking, because I feel like that's all I can do with this one. No, I feel like I always tend to draw features much bigger than what they're supposed to be, and then I end up having to change the size of them later on, which is fine when I'm doing digital art. And most of my final pieces start out as sketches on my iPad so that I can tweak the proportions and everything. Okay, so this one compared to this one, I definitely like this one better. I feel like this one looks more like the person that I'm drawing, and this one does not. This one looks like another person, which happened last time. But I don't think I'm going to add any line art to this because I really do like the way this looks. Okay, let's do one more. We got some purple. Purple's fun. It's raining outside, so if you hear that, it's rain. To do him justice, I'm going to do one where his eyes are nice and wide. I guess the good thing about this is whenever I tried to focus in my camera, it did facial recognition to focus on his face, so that's a good sign. Okay, so it's once again, it's another straight on, which is fine. Okay, so we'll start again with the nose in the middle. And this one, his nostrils are flared up a bit more. So now that we've got the nose as our base, let's figure out where his mouth goes. So in the frowning one, his mouth was much closer to the bottom of his nose because he was pulling it upwards. But in this one, he's actually pulling it down. So I'd say maybe even a little further. Man, I really hope this audio is okay. I'm gonna be so sad if it's not. And I do apologize if it's not the greatest. I probably should have tested it, but I literally did not know how much time I was gonna have to do this. I wanted this to be relaxing, which I mean it kind of is. Just sketching, not really worried about coming up with a final piece. So I made the teeth a little big, just the shape of the teeth at first. You can see his bottom teeth in this one. So in this one, he's got his eyes open nice and wide. So I'm going to go ahead and pop them in where I think they'll go here. Okay, so I can already tell that the eyes are too close together. Again, I think I really fixed it with this one. It looks a lot better. So, no, I'll start with this hairline. That always helps. Go ahead and draw on his eyeballs, I guess. I'm not sure why I waited so long to do that. Something else I noticed, a lot of artists draw the eyes first, like the details of the eyes and everything, like to get the eyes almost completely done before anything else really. And for some reason, I do the opposite. Like I almost forget about the eyes until the end because I'm so worried about getting the right face shape and I think I will use my white gel pen somewhere on this to kind of bring out some of the whites a bit more. Start adding in some of these shadows. Okay, so let's see if some white highlight details can help here. Maybe by adding this, I can help direct his eye a little bit more where it's supposed to be. It's actually kind of scary. Purple pencil is mixing with the white and his teeth are pink now. I'll try out a white charcoal pencil just to see how that brings out some highlights. And you see how that pen mixed with the purple pencil. I'm going to try to go over that. Okay, so here are all of the sketches I did today, and now I'm going to bring up on screen the reference photo that I was using, and I'll put these side by side so you can judge for yourself. So this is an actor named Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and now that I'm looking at him on Google, it says he's an American actor, filmmaker, singer, and entrepreneur. So he appeared in the film A River Runs Through It, Angels in the Outfield, Holy Matrimony, and 10 Things I Hate About You. Yes! 10 Things I Hate About You. I love that movie. Why did I think that was... Oh no. Like, why did I think that was Heath Ledger? Yes, that was Heath Ledger, but Joseph Leonard Gordon-Levitt. He's also in that movie. That was one of my favorite movies. I knew I recognized him. I knew I liked him. Yes, so these are my sketches of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Let me know down below if you could tell who this was or if you thought it was somebody else. I'll go ahead and say right now that this one actually reminds me of Tom Hanks for some reason. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy this style of video because I really enjoy making it. It's kind of nice to just sit down and sketch and not really have to worry about, you know, making a full piece, full masterpiece. But I'll be posting this on my Instagram, and if you sketched or drew or painted or whatever, anything along with me, and you post it, you know, please tag me because I'd love to see what you made and let me know. Alright, thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys. Kiki, brought me your baby? Thank you. She does this literally every day. She just brings me her toy. It's popped off the end of the stick. I will fix it. Oh, hi, kitty. Hi. Say hello. My name is Kiki. Yeah. You say hello? Say hello? Say hello, I'm Kiki. Here, take your baby. Take your baby. Ready? Alright, you're getting cat hair all over my desk. Just wiped it off. You never get on mommy's desk, do you? Oh, you're just being extra lovey, aren't you? You're just being all... You being extra lovey. I love you too. Kiki, you want to come say goodbye? You say goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. You like my pictures? You do? You like my pictures? Oh. She's not always this sweet. Oh, thank you. Okay, say... Ow. Can you wave? Ow. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.